Today's show is sponsored by the multiorgasmicmama.com. If lack of confidence, low libido, or guilt and shame around your sexuality are the cause of your bedroom woes, the hot wild sex you never have anymore, or the transition into motherhood that sucked your libido dry, let me help you get your mojo and magnetic feminine spark back. Magic, miracles, total self-love, and multi-orgasmic bliss included. See you at themultiorgasmicmama.com. What's up, Pod Mamas? Welcome back to the podcast. Today, I'm super excited to talk with you about feeling worthy and claiming your worth and claiming your desires as part of this pleasure and prosperity series. Today, I'm going to be specifically talking about how to feel worthy of pleasure and prosperity and claiming your desires around pleasure and prosperity. It is almost Mother's Day here in the United States. It will be on Sunday, and it's just like 2 or 3 days away. And I was reflecting on some of my own desires for when I had kids and the type of mom that I wanted to be, what I wanted to be an example for them as, and what I really wanted to show them was possible. And this got me in I was doing my morning pleasure ritual where I just type, I journal on like my future self and having it all ready right now. And when I was writing, I was like, wait a minute, I'm writing this as if it's in the future, but it's actually true right now. And I had this moment of realization like, oh my God, I finally am that mom that I set out to be 9 years ago. Because what happened was I was working as a city planner and I got let go because I breastfed my kid and my boss had walked in on me breast pumping. Like, how ridiculous is that? I think I mentioned it in the podcast maybe last week or the time before. And that was the moment though that I was like drawing a line in the sand and being like, fuck no, this is not okay. This is like, I will show my kids that it's possible to do what you love, to live a turned on life on my terms and make a damn good living doing it. And today when I was doing that journaling exercise, I was like, oh my God, I'm finally there. I am that mom that I set out to be 9 freaking years ago. How cool is that? And I'm going to celebrate in a very special way that I'll tell you at the end. Okay, but first, let's talk about feeling worthy and claiming your desires. Because the truth is, every single woman on this planet has experienced the core wound and imprint of neglect. So neglect is the imprint that takes away your sense of worth in this world. So if you have been neglected by your caregivers, if you've been neglected by family of origin, mom, dad, whatever, or a lover or a partner, or like even a marriage partner, if you have gotten a core wound or imprint of neglect from these very, very important people in our lives, either as a young adult or a kid, or even if you've been through a traumatic breakup or a divorce like I did 2.5 years ago, what happens is that you create an internal and an unconscious belief system inside to make sense of what happened, to make sense of the neglect. So you make sense of it with your logical thinking mind by creating an unconscious belief system. So it's like it registers in your unconscious, but you're creating it to like validate your experience of not feeling lovable or worthy or whatever. So if you have experienced this neglect, which we all have on some level, you create that imprint of like, oh crap, well, if I'm not lovable to them, if I'm not worthy to them, then I guess that means I am not lovable and I am not worthy of being fought for. I'm not worthy of being taken care of. I'm not worthy of them changing their behavior for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then what happens is you just end up, if you are a business owner or you have a career, you end up in a career or business that you hope to create, and you're not actually doing what you need to do to meet your own needs. So you end up neglecting the very parts of you that have been neglected in the past because that's the patterning you got. That's the model that you received from those caregivers, from the relationship partners. Like, if you are in a business, for example, you're trying to start a business and you're not taking care of yourself, or you're giving to your clients like so much more than it feels good inside, or you're producing tons of content, you might even be getting clients epic results, but what is really going on inside is that you have like an anxiety every time you hop on a Zoom call. You feel completely responsible for this person's transformation. You feel that, if they don't transform, then, oh my God, what does that mean or say about me as a coach or healer or therapist or whatever? You fear that they don't get that transformation because it's your responsibility. So you end up going into like what we call a hyper trauma response to this core wound of neglect and feeling unworthy. And it's being over responsible, being like taking on too much responsibility and not letting other people help you, or not having clear boundaries around what is your responsibility and what someone else's. So you take on that feeling of like, oh my God, their transformation is dependent on me, when actually it's not at all. You stop doing your own practices. You have a hard time doing what you know you should be doing to stay in alignment, and you're discounting services. You're charging way less than you know that you should. So the truth is, you're just not really taking care of your own damn self first, because at the root of it all, you do not feel worthy. You don't feel worthy. You don't feel worthy of having the prosperity and a pleasurable life. And until you can feel an embodied sense of worthiness, it's always going to feel difficult to claim your desires. Because on some level, you don't even feel safe to admit that you have the desires. So you just hide behind the deeper desires and you squash them, because it feels easier to go on living feeling unworthy and not having what you really want than actually change the pattern and go after something you unconsciously believe that you're never going to get anyway. Holy shit, that was a mouthful. And a damn truth bomb at it too, okay? So a lot of us will squash our desires because we're like, well, we're never going to get that anyway. So I'm just not even going to admit that I want it. And then we just go on living our lives dissatisfied, not having the pleasure and the prosperity that we deeply, deeply desire. And when it comes to sexuality and relationships, here's a couple of things that probably happen. You struggle admitting that you actually want more out of your relationship or your sex life, that you want more pleasure in your life, that you want better orgasms, that you want more orgasms, that you want more intimacy and connection, that you actually want a committed, loving partner if you don't have one. And that terrifies you because you have spent all of this time becoming an independent woman, or breaking free of codependency patterns and becoming empowered. You've spent all your time doing all these things to not quote unquote need someone, that you have literally convinced yourself that you don't need anyone, that this is taking on hyper responsibility, too much responsibility. And this is a trauma response. It's a hyper trauma response to the feeling of unworthiness, okay? Because you have convinced yourself that you don't need the love and affection or a committed loving partner because you don't feel worthy. So how in the world do you start to feel worthy of more pleasure and prosperity in your life? And when I say pleasure, I don't mean just physical pleasure. I mean emotional pleasure, the emotional pleasure of life too. Which is just like being in the present moment and enjoying your fucking life, being able to play and have fun and be spontaneous and be crazy and not give a shit, okay? That's what I mean by like emotional pleasure. So how do you get an embodied sense of feeling worthy? Because you can tell yourself all day long that you know you're a worthy woman, but you can go to therapy, you can go to counseling, you can talk with your girlfriends. You're like, oh yeah, I know I'm worthy. But deep down, you don't feel it. You don't feel it in your bones. You don't know it in your bones. So if you don't have an embodied blueprint of worthiness because you have the imprint of neglect, if you don't actually feel worthy in your body, you're never going to really know your worth as a woman, and you're never going to be able to claim your deeper desires. And that looks like when you finally do start to feel worthy, or when you finally truly claim your desires, it means that you're going to be practicing what you preach and doing your practices regularly and consistently. It means that you're going to feel amazing hopping on a client session with pumped up energy because you're so fucking excited to serve this person today, because it comes from a place of service, not from a place of, oh, I need these clients to prove my worth. Okay. Oh, do I know this one? Big time, big time. Okay, it means that you are charging premium prices for your services because you know what the transformation you offer is valued at. It means that you're doing what it takes to get past your blocks to pleasure and orgasm, to experiencing the emotional and physical pleasure of life. It means that you're removing those invisible barriers, keeping you from the deep intimacy and the connection that you truly want, but you're fucking afraid to admit you even want it because you think you don't need anybody, or you have convinced yourself you don't need anybody. It's bullshit. All bullshit. So having an embodied sense of worthiness is more than just knowing that you are worthy. It's feeling that you are. So in order to deeply embody worthiness of more pleasure and prosperity, here are 5 things that you have to do. 1, you have to commit to identifying and feeding your needs first and meeting them. What do you need? What do I need right now? What do I even fucking need right now? And then meeting that need. Number 2, you start treating your needs as valid, as essential, as worth your time, your energy, and your investment, and others' time, energy, investment. You discover what you need to get to the next level, and you give yourself the gift of moving towards that next level because you recognize that your needs are valid, essential, and worth your time, energy, investment. How many of you don't treat your needs as valid? Oh my God. I would be a millionaire for every woman that I talk to that could tell me, if she told me, yeah, I just feel like my needs aren't as important as my kids or my partner's. Fuck no. No. Your needs are just as valid as anyone else's. They're just as essential as anyone else's. So if you really want an embodied sense of worthiness, you have got to start treating your needs as such. Number 3. If you want to embody worthiness of more pleasure and prosperity in your life, you need to get in touch with that unbreakable core inside of you, the part of you that is and always has been healthy and whole. So you got an imprint of neglect, but underneath that has always been and always will be this thing inside that cannot be broken. This unbreakable goodness, this unbreakable core inside of you. And once you can get in touch with that thing, stay in touch with it as long as possible and get in touch with it on a daily fucking basis. Number 4, you start asking for help and letting others delight in helping you meet your needs. Women struggle asking for help. We struggle asking for help in our personal lives, but we struggle asking for help in our businesses as well. It's hard for us to let go of control of things in our business, especially when you're breaking free from like being a solopreneur to like a full-fledged entrepreneur, and you're building a team and you're going to the next level. And that it's so fucking hard to let go of control because this has been your baby for so long. But if you really want to embody worthiness and have more pleasure and prosperity in your life, and you want to get to that next level, you've got to start asking for help and listing help and letting others delight in helping you meet your needs and desires. The 5th way to embody worthiness of more pleasure and prosperity is to create enough safety in your system to claim your deeper desire for your life and your business, and to commit to taking action toward them anyway, despite how scary it's going to feel. Okay, your deeper desires get masked because you don't feel safe to even claim them. You don't feel safe to have them because it terrifies your entire nervous system that, oh my God, if I admitted I actually wanted this thing, holy shit, that just invokes fear and anxiety and panic inside of me, and I can't deal with that because that traumatized, neglected imprint inside of you is being triggered, is being activated. And it's like, no, we can't have that. We can't have that. That's not the pattern we got taught. We got taught we can't have that. So if we just tell ourselves that we can't have it for long enough, then we'll just forget we ever wanted that thing in the first place. Oh, how much longer are you going to continue playing that game, squashing your desires, squashing what you know is truly possible for you, what you know in your head is possible for you, but your body just hadn't got on board yet? How much are you going to continue to play small, not having the income and the impact you're born to make on this planet? How much longer are you going to silently suffer, not fully experiencing the range of emotional and physical pleasure of this life, of feeling fucking alive and being the queen of your own damn life, living a turned on life on your terms? How much longer can you go not meeting your own needs, getting on Zoom calls with clients, having a near anxiety attack every single time you get on, or getting on a sales call and telling the prospective client like you only charge this much when actually you charged this much, and what you told them was way less than what you know you should be charging or could be charging? Oh my God, the list just keeps going on and on. How much longer are you going to continue only experiencing the tip of the iceberg when it comes to pleasure in and out of the bedroom? Because I know deep down that you know there is more to this life, that you can live a turn on life on your terms, just like I did. I knew in my head that it would be possible for me. I just didn't know how to get there. And you don't need to know the how. You don't need to know the how just yet. But can you let yourself claim that? Can you let yourself commit to that? And I know what it's like for all that to get in the way, because I have been there. I have known and lived what it's like to not feel worthy, to have to be getting on a client call or a sales call and having a near panic attack, or saying a price that's below what I actually charged. I have done that before. I also know what it's like to experience a limited amount of pleasure emotionally and physically in my relationships and with my kids. I know what it's like to be grumpy mom. I am not perfect mom. I'm still grumpy mom sometimes. But I know what it's like to live in the perpetual grumpy mom phase, because you don't know how to be in the present. You don't know how to enjoy your life. You're not claiming the pleasure, the emotional and physical pleasure of life. So you're always grumpy, and you're secretly resenting why you ever started on this journey in the first place, almost wishing that you could just be a normal human and be happy having a normal job and doing the normal fucking 9-to-5 thing, even though you're miserable. I know, because I've been there. And then I tuck my kids in bed every night, and I remember who I do it for. I remember that I did all of this for them because those 9 years ago, when I made that commitment and I drew that line in the sand, I was absolutely committed to being that mom that shows them what's possible for them, because that's what they deserve. A mom that knows she's worthy in her fucking bones. And that's why this Mother's Day, I'm going to be celebrating finally having become that mom by buying us all plane tickets to Paris, because that's what lights all of us up, and because I'm an awesome mom and they're awesome kids, and they deserve that thing, because I have done what I set out to do, and I know that you can do it too. And that is why I want to invite any of you that are listening in who are coaches, healers, or therapists to go apply for the Pleasure and Prosperity Mastermind. Because not only are we doing business strategy and systems, and we're learning all of the things that you need in order to create a 6-figure business without paid ads or employees. Not only are we doing that, but you are learning what it's like to get an embodied sense of worthiness. You are getting embodiment training and practices, and you are doing the inner work to create the alignment and the integration necessary in order for the business structure and strategy to actually take effect. Because if your inner game ain't on and you do not feel worthy, you can have all of the business structure and strategy and do all of the fucking business trainings in the world, and it is not going to do shit. You are never, ever, ever going to get out of that spin cycle, being on the constant hamster wheel of chasing the next client, trying to find, trying to make the money so you can finally get out of the 9-to-5 job, or so you can finally feel like this business is no longer a hobby anymore. Because having that inner integration and alignment and embodied sense of worth is absolutely essential for any strategy or business structure or system to be effective. So if that is you and you're like, hell yes, I'm going to live a life on my terms and in my pleasure, and I want to show my kids, just like Tilly, that it's possible too, then go apply for the Pleasure and Prosperity Mastermind by May 15th. That is the last day to apply. So you can head to themultiorgasmicmama.com/pleasure-and-prosperity-mastermind. Or you can just go to themultiorgasmicmama.com and click on the Work With Me tab, because I know that's a mouthful. All right, my loves, I can't wait to set up a call and talk to you about the mastermind and get to know a little bit more about you. I love you all so much, and have a fantastic Mother's Day for all the mamas out there. And if you don't have physical kids, just happy Mother's Day to all of you that mother someone or something, because we all do that in some way or another. Bye-bye.